We hand in our documents to be stamped out of the country. And I realized, wow, I could really have a problem like this is for real. They only let me out of the room to be interrogated, which was once a day or sometimes not at all. And then they would lead me down this hallway and take me into the interrogation room, which was an ugly room. It had blood stains on the floor, very dark and murky. It was definitely the most terrifying part of the whole experience. The beatings would start and it would be slapping in the face, hitting in the stomach, sometimes kicking. I struggled with faith. Was God with me? Did he love me? If God's good, why would he allow me through the situation?
By the time he was a teenager, Danny had exchanged heroin delivery for heroin addiction.
Once I got addicted, probably about the age of 19, I got strung out, and then boom, I just lost it all.
That was the worst storm I'd seen. I had seen other storms. The problem with this one was that the wind built and then shifted.
Dennis battled the elements for 4 days.
It's getting dark, and I'm looking up, and I have to tell you, I had never seen conditions like this in my entire life.
Corruption is deep within me. I think at the rate I was going, I could have wound up killing somebody.
Robert and his partners administered their own form of street justice.
Bribe someone Monday, you had sex with someone unwarranted Tuesday, you know, you were transporting drugs Wednesday, you were protecting drug addicts Thursday. Well, even Internal Affairs has to make a move.
Complaints against him piled up. Internal Affairs set up surveillance and caught Robert breaking the laws he was sworn to protect.
I was looking at 30 years in Angola.
Julie Papiavis was in a car accident that left her in the balance between life and death. As she was driving away from a shopping mall, a teen driver ran a red light, plowing into her at 50 miles an hour. The impact jarred her head and neck, severely injuring her brainstem. Her body instantly began dying. Within minutes, the fire department arrived and pulled her from the wreckage.
Sex was almost 100% of my survival, and what I had to do to survive. I numbed my way from feeling anything.
Those little seeds in my life, I began meditating on over and over, and as I grew, the rejection began to grow. What is wrong with me? And so I believe that the only answer for me was to end my life.
And I said to myself, that old man's never gonna love me. There's nothing I can do, there's nothing I can say. He will never love me.
Every day he was telling me, you know, I was stupid, I was ugly, I wasn't good enough. I didn't feel like I was worthy of being loved by anyone.
Started running, and as we're driving in, we noticed people running towards us, so we had to stop the vehicle exactly where we were. Our thing was to get those people to safety, and we got them into the truck and got them out of the area.
Boom. The building shook. I mean, it's almost as though that building was on an earthquake line. It literally shook. People were down, people were screaming, people were hurt. If you were standing up and in that fireball, you died. People would just disintegrate.
Billy Rivers' love for motorcycles started when he was a boy. His drug use started shortly after that. By the time he was 17, he traded normal teenage dreams for motorcycle gangs and a needle full of heroin. He spent it all in one place.
I would take that money and go give it to the drug man. And when my drugs were up, I'd go back out there and do it. And I did this day in, day out for a few years.
When I got hit, I flew up on the windshield. I flew 130 feet in the air. The next thing I know, I'm in the middle of the road trying to get up. There was a bunch of people around me telling me to stay down, and I didn't understand why they were telling me to stay down. I'm like, no, I'm okay. I was trying to get up, but I kept falling.
Jason was rushed to the emergency room.
The high from crack cocaine literally lasts just a few seconds. We give all that, we just surrender all that for just that few seconds of euphoria, and then it's gone.
Jeffrey had developed diverticulitis, a painful condition that attacks the intestinal wall. Months of natural treatments had failed. and his condition had become so advanced he needed surgery to remove part of his intestine.
I had 1.3 million registered images, staggering number, and we had thousands and thousands of hours of video.
When I swerved to get out of the way of the vehicle, that's when my vehicle started to flip. I was thrown out of the vehicle, but my best friend told me that after the vehicle stopped rolling, he had to kick his way out of the passenger side door. He finally found me about 20 to 30 feet out into the woods on the side of the road.
Dipping on the bridges and eating out of the garbage can.
Rehab centers would get him clean long enough to reclaim his family, but crack always called him back to the streets.
You just try to get through it.
Kelly's nightmare continued for hours into the night.
It was never satisfying. I had fame, I had fans, but I didn't have peace.
I had a whole lot of pain with my arm, so I said, Chelsea, my arm, it's broke really bad. I said, it's really bad.
Chad called 911 on his cell phone. Within an hour, emergency personnel located them in the dark Texas night and pulled them from the wreckage. They were medevaced to a hospital in Odessa, where Chelsea was placed in the ICU in a coma,
giving him a concussion and a deep gash. But he was alive. As the tornado passed, David scrambled over the debris and made his way up toward the street. The reality of what just happened began to sink in.
It looked like a nuclear bomb had gone off.